All right, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I would like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakakwadash, and double honors to the elders of GMS. Shalom, Abrakatham, to the elect of the nation of Israel, and my Hebrew name is Rakam Mayum. And I have purchased this book here called The Nazis World War II. Okay, this book was published a while back. And on page 132, they show you here Hitler being introduced to a movie by this guy called Goebbels, which was classified as he was anti-Semitic. They classified him as anti-Semitic because he was going against those Zionists or those small hats, right? But in this movie, it was I forget, I'll read it and I'll explain whatever movie that is, but when I start reading it. But in a movie, in whatever movie that was, he explained that the people living in Israel aren't the real Israelites, right? But if you can see clearly the pictures here, he's showing Hitler the movie, right? They're sitting down and he's telling Hitler, see these people here in this movie, they're not the real Israelites, right? But it shows you, it said, but this guy here explains to Hitler that the real Jews are Negroes. Check this out. Are Negroes. Now, this book here was brought out by One West years ago. I believe it was High Priest Ari. I could be wrong. But they're showing you that the real Jews are so-called Negroes. As you can see the image there. So what he's telling this movie director, or actually he was a politician, or whatever he was, but he's showing the movie to Hitler and the other Nazis, so-called Nazis, that the real Jews are so-called blacks in America, right? But look what it says here. It says this guy here, meaning these small hats, are bastards. That's what it says right here, bastards. So the first scripture I want to begin off with is Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6. Bastard. That word bastard can mean a fraud. Someone that doesn't belong, okay, in the land, which we're going to grab. But I'm going to read a little bit of this here. It says, Goebbels and Hitler personally, actually, let's go into his name. Let's go into this guy's name before I begin reading here. Goebbels. Joseph Goebbels, or Joseph Goebbels, Paul Joseph Goebbels was a German Nazi politician, so he's a politician, who was the Gauleiter of Berlin, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party, and then rich minister of propaganda from 1933 to 1945. Okay. Right. It says here, closest and most devoted. He was one of Adolf Hitler's closest and most devoted acolytes, known for his skills in public speaking and his deeply virulent anti-Semitism. Virulent means poisonous. So they considered this guy to be a poisonous guy, all right? Because he was going against these small hats. And these small hats did not like him one bit. But anyway, it says here, Goebbels and Hitler personally appraised a new German movie. When the Führer complained that films espousing the Nazi line were too scarce, Goebbels rushed a pair of anti-Semitic pictures into production. In one segment of a Nazi instructional film, right, the genetic heritage of the Jew is purportedly traced to Oriental Negro. Now, Oriental means east or from the east, which we come from the east. Oriental Negro. So what this Goebbels character is saying here to Hitler and the rest of these Nazis is that the real Jews are black. Okay, the real Jews are black. Actually, I got to start with Jeremiah 14 and 2. Since I mentioned that, the real Jews are black. Okay, the word Jew goes back to the tribe of Judah, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh, which means Yahweh thanks. This is Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languisheth. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. And that word for black is quadar, which means simply dark skin. Now, if you know, when you read all throughout the Bible, the Israelites are dark skinned. When you read Acts 13, even in the New Testament, Acts chapter 13 and verse 1, it says that I'll grab that. Acts 13 and verse 1, it says that, now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger or nigger, all right? And that's literally, it means a so-called black man. And when you read the NOT, it says, among the prophets and teachers of the church at Antioch of Syria were Barnabas, Simeon, called the black man. Lucius from Cyrene, which Cyrene is in North Africa, Libya, North Africa, Cyrene. Manaen, the childhood companion of King Herod Antipas and Saul. So the apostles were dark-skinned. When you read Revelation chapter 1, our big brother Yahushai is a dark-skinned man. He had woolly hair. Okay? He had his whole body was dark. Okay? Yahushai is a dark-skinned man. The tribe of Judah, which would be so-called blacks in America, are dark, are dark-skinned. You're brown. You're not black. You're brown. Really, you're brown. You're dark brown or different shades of brown. You also have, when you read Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 5 and 6, it goes into that word swarthy. When you look deeper into it, it goes into that word swarthy, but also that word quadar is found in Song of Songs, chapter 1. Quadar, which means dark of skin. These people are not dark of skin. Even Hitler, his father came from Austria, or born in Austria, somewhere around that area. But I know for a fact that he's an Edomite. They're Edomites. Here it says bastard. These people are not Israelites. They're bastards. Because why? Esau himself knows that his own people are not the people of the Bible. They know that. You have a lot of these Edomites are coming out and saying that the people living in that land are not the Israelites. They even tell you that. Their own people tell you that. This is Psalm 64. Psalm 64 and verse 8. So they, meaning these Edomites, shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. Verse 8 in the NOT. Their own tongues, I'm going to have to start using other versions, but the NOT is like I use it a lot, straight to the point. Their own tongues will, on certain verses, not all of them, their own tongues will ruin them, and all who see them will shake their heads in scorn. Like, these ain't the people of the Bible. These ain't Israelites. These aren't the real Jews. Hey, anytime you ask these Jews, or these so-called Jews, where does the word Jew go back to? They never have the answer. Or they'll say Yahudi, which is Yiddish. And it's one thing that these people do. They speak Yiddish. They don't speak the Paleo-Hebrew. That's another way, or that's how you could prove that they are not the people of God by the language that they speak. It's Yiddish. It's not the Hebrew. The language they speak is Yiddish and not the Paleo-Hebrew. See, us, we're coming back into remembrance of who we are, and we're speaking what? The Paleo-Hebrew, or what the scriptures call, or what we say, call Lashon Kodash, which is the pure tongue. Okay? Zephaniah, just to back that up, Zephaniah 3 and verse 9. For then, meaning now, okay, this was prophesied to happen back then, which is playing out now. Okay, for then will I turn to the people a pure language. Till this day, these bastards still speak a bastard tongue. They still speak Yiddish. Yiddish is not Hebrew. Yiddish is not Hebrew. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they all may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. And the pure language is the Lashon Kodash, the Hebrew. But these people are not calling upon the name of the Lord. That's another proof that they are not the Israelites. Okay, we're calling on Yahweh and we're calling on Yahushai. That's Hebrew for the Father and the Son. We're not saying Yeshua. We're not calling on Yeshua. We're not calling on Jesus. We're not calling on Jehovah. We're not calling on God and Christ. We're calling on Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. That's Hebrew. That's the pure language. So we're being restored. All right. Our identity has been given back to us. The Lord has given us our identity back. He gave us our identity back. And right now we're calling on those pure names, which these fake Jews don't call on Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay, they got into the land through what they call a Balfour Declaration, which was really, it actually was put in play. Really, it was plotted back in like 1916. Okay, it was plotted like back in 1916. The Rothschilds. Okay, it was Rothschild means red child, Esau, Edom. All right, this was all plotted back then for them to get into that land in 1948. But these people came out of the Caucasus Mountains. So I'm going to read this again in one segment of a Nazi instructional, before I read Zechariah 9:6, instructional film, right? The genetic heritage of the Jew is purportedly traced to Oriental Negro. And that's where I want to stop right there. I'm going to read a little here. It says here, to Joseph, movies hinting at horrors to come. To Joseph Goebbels' films were one of the most modern and scientific means of influencing the masses. Though the German film industry remained largely in private hands, every movie needed the imprimatur of the propaganda ministry before it reached the screen, and Goebbels became notorious for meddling with scripts, directors, and actors. In 1938, he set movie studios to work producing anti-Jewish films, and we're not Jewish. Jewish means to pertain to. We are the real Jews, and that word Jew was just invented in the 1800s. That word Jew shouldn't even exist in the Bible, okay? Especially with the letter J. Okay? In addition, a special team was assembled at the ministry itself to undertake a project called the Eternal Jew. The result, a virulent 45-minute harangues, billed as a documentary, was shown to audiences throughout Europe. The film featured a lingering look at kosher animal slaughter, imputing sadism and bloodthirstiness to the Jewish race. Jews were likened to rats and other vermin. They carried disease, warned the narration. Such films which let's stop right there. They carried disease, they were likened to rats. Now, when you go to Job 30, select it. When you go to Job 30, these people came out of what they themselves call the Caucasus Mountains, which Caucasus means, or Caucasian means cave dweller. All right, but Esau's original home is Mount Seir, not the Caucasus Mountains or Georgia, Russia, or in that area where the Khazarian Empire sat. Which is funny because you got Russia and Ukraine going at it right now, which is not World War III. It's not World War III as of yet, but you got Russia and Ukraine fighting now. But where Ukraine is seated at and where parts of Russia is at, that's where the Khazarian Empire was situated, was right around that area, around the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea. These devils came from that region, okay, before they came into power. Now I'm going to start at Job chapter 30, I'm going to start at verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. So you see that? Even Job said, I'm not even going to put my dogs, I'm not even going to put my dogs around these Edomites, because why? They're vile. They're the base of men. They're a cancer to society. I'm not even going to put my dogs, and dogs are an unclean thing. So if Job ain't want to put his dogs next to Esau, because what would Esau do? Commit bestiality, found written in the laws. You ain't to commit bestiality. He'll sleep with the animals, right? Right. Esau is viler. The scriptures say, Job chapter 30 and verse 8. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. Base means to be at the bottom, the lowest people. They were viler than the earth. So there you go. Verse 2, yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Now, the scriptures say that Cain, when you go back into the scriptures in Genesis chapter 4, the scriptures say that Cain, for murdering his brother Abel, which Abel represents the Israelites, that Cain would be a fugitive and a vagabond. See, these devils were pushed into the Caucasus Mountains by the Moors. I'll read it actually, verse 5. Just jump down right to it right quick, and I'll read it again. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. So there you go. Right, these Edomites were pushed into the Caucasian Mountains or the Caucasus Mountains. All right, during the time of the Dark Ages when the Moors or the Israelites ruled. Right, and they were, as the base, they were like at the bottom, or the lowest people. They were like at the bottom. It says here, for want and famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Now, a fugitive and a vagabond, actually, let's grab it. Genesis chapter 4. Verse 14, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. This devil is still a fugitive. He's still a vagabond. He hasn't been brought to justice. He hasn't paid for the crimes that he has committed, especially against you blacks, Latinos, and natives. He hasn't paid for that yet. The Most High hasn't really touched Esau as of yet. Of course, a lot of their children are on drugs, they're on heroin, they're addicted to all meth and all these different drugs, but the Most High hasn't really put his hands on Esau as of yet. Okay? Right now, they got the power. All right, their left hand, witchcraft, their sorceries. Okay? It says here, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. Now let's go into that word fugitive first. H51:28. Now why to toss about, cause to totter, to cause to wander. That's the perfect definition there. To cause to wander. Right, they're wanderers. Okay, they got pushed gradually. It didn't just happen at one time. They gradually were pushed into the Caucasus Mountains by the Moors or by the Israelites. Slowly pushed into the Caucasian Mountains. To scatter, to remove. Now let's go into that word vagabond. H51:10. Nawad. To move oneself to and fro, sway, totter. To move oneself to and fro, sway, totter. To shake oneself, to cause to wander. Okay? To move to and fro, to wander aimlessly. So wherever they could go, they aimlessly, okay, we're just going to go here. We're just going to go here. And that's how you prove they're the Edomites too, because even Kagan Bullen, out of 3, Kagan Bullen, let's go into this devil. Kagan Bullen. He's He came around about like 800 A.D. Bulan. It says here, Bulan. I believe that was a household name, Bulan. Could be wrong, but let's. Bulan was a Kaiser king who led the conversion of the Khazars to Judaism. His name means elk or hart in Old Turkic. The date of his reign is unknown, as the date of the conversion is hotly disputed, though it is certain that Bulan reigned sometime between the 8th century, mid-8th, and the mid-9th centuries AD. Nor is it settled with whether Bulan was the Bek of Kagan. Okay, anyway, Khazars. Let's find this. Bulan religiously unaffiliated. Bulan was religiously unaffiliated, meaning he didn't have nothing to go about. He didn't have no God to follow, nothing. Okay? In his quest to discover which of the three Abrahamic religions, they're going off here. Three Abrahamic religions, that's completely off, would shape his own religious beliefs, he invited representatives from each to explain their fundamental tenets. In the end, he chose Judaism. All right? So, he chose Judaism. It says, hold on, let me read this. Oh my goodness. So he chose Judaism. Described as a Jew and encouraging him. Right, he chose Judaism. So they didn't really have a religion to follow, which is crazy. Yo, get out of here. Get out of here. He didn't have a religion, Salaki. He didn't have a religion to follow. So he chose Judaism. Right? Just like during the time of what's this damn demon? This Israelite Levite. What was his name again? John Hyrcanus or Hyrcanus. He forcibly converted Edomites. He forcibly converted Edomites because Herod, the Herodian dynasty, that's who he converted, the Herodians. And well, during the time of the Hasmonean dynasty, they didn't have nothing to go about. They didn't have nothing to follow. So he chose Judaism. So he chose what? Okay, we're just gonna follow. Okay, so we're gonna get circumcised. We're gonna follow you, right? And the reason John Hyrcanus did that too, because he wanted to have what they call political gain. You know, have some political advantage or upper hand or whatever he was trying to accomplish. But that failed. But they're not Israelites. Same thing they did with Kagan Bolin. Okay, we're just gonna choose Judaism. They weren't forcibly converted during the time of Kagan Bolin, but they just chose Judaism to go and just to follow. Same thing they're doing now. They believe they believe that they're the Israelites, and we keep telling them, you're not Israelites, you're a bastard. All right, you're a bastard. Actually, let's where was I at? Job, right? But let's grab this real quick before I forget. This is Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6. Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. And that word for bastard can mean fraudulent or a fraud, a fake. Right? And who's dwelling there now? All right, through a bathroom declaration, you got these Edomites dwelling in that land now. You got Edomites dwelling there. Then you got on the other side of Palestine, you got these Ishmaelites, these Arabs, which they're not the people of the Bible. They're going into slavery, right? They're going into slavery, right? Because, you know, the shit that they did to you, Jakes, especially off the the east coast of Africa, they got to pay for their crimes, right? The trans-Saharan slave trade, I believe they call that, the trans-Saharan Sahara Desert, the trans-Saharan slave trade, they got to pay for their crimes. All right, but you got imposters living in that land now. These are not the people of God, who say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. All right, it's talking about these Edomites. They're not the real Jews. They're bastards. That's why this book here shows them. This right here says bastard, B-A-S-T-A-R-D. All right, but look at the image of this Jake right here, Oriental Negro. Then they got a picture of a Hamite or an Ethiopian, which the Ethiopians of Kawashium or Kawash go back to him. Right? And I believe this says he's a Jew, meaning this guy here, this Israelite here. Jude Ian, brothers, correct me if I was actually trying to look up the meaning of it, and it didn't really give me a clear answer, but it's, okay, let's go back to Job. This is Job chapter 30 and verse 3 again. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. You got a lot of movies that show you cave beasts. You got a lot of cartoons like the Flintstones that show you cave beasts. Esau being in a beastly mentality, having that cave beast mentality, eating raw meat. They used to wear clothes until it disintegrated. That's vile. That's vile. Who the hell wears clothes till it disintegrates? I know Jake sometimes might put on the same pants for a week and all that, but look, man, that's because we're poor. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't nothing wrong with wearing the same pants and stuff like that for a week or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't got nobody to impress. But these Edomites, okay, that's a different bloodline, by the way, but these Edomites, they're not Jakes. These Edomites would wear clothes until it disintegrated, right? They would eat raw meat, which is against our laws, our customs. Israelites ain't supposed to eat no bloody raw meat. It says here, former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. And juniper roots is actually good for you, but they just were eating like they were eating like plants, like beasts do. Here's let's go to Daniel chapter 4. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, which was an Assyrian king during the time of the Babylonian Empire, or the Babylonian Empire, right? He was an Assyrian king. He goes back to, these Assyrians. And the Most High put this devil in such a base state that he was eating straw and like eating grass or whatever he was eating, like plants, like a beast, like crawling on four, like a beast, right? I'm gonna have to jump down. Let's see where quite a loudness. All right, let's start at verse 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and an holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said, thus hew down the tree and cut off his branches, I just want to get to the point. Shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beast get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth. And this was prophesied for this Nebuchadnezzar to act like a beast. This was prophesied for him to act like a beast. And the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast and the grass of the earth. Let his heart or mind be changed from man's, and let a beast heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. So Esau is the base race, They're a base race, meaning they're the lowest race, right? And the Most High what? This set up these Edomites to come back into power during what? During the time of the Renaissance, where these Edomites gradually gained power. The Most High was raising them up. Okay, the Most High said he raised up Pharaoh, which represents these Edomites. Right? It ain't talking about ancient Pharaoh or the Hamites. It's talking about Edomites. Okay? Pharaoh is just a household name, can simply mean great house. America is a great house. The Most High gave this devil the fatness of the earth. He gave him the sword. He gave him everything that his heart could wish for. Look, he has everything in his power, in his clutches. And it says here, this dream I King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof. That was Daniel's Babylonian name. For as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able. So he asked Belshazzar, he asked Daniel, Allah, could you break down this dream, this vision that I had? So Daniel told him, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. So it takes an Israelite prophet to break down a vision. It takes an Israelite prophet to declare prophecies. Okay, we're the mouthpiece of the Most High, meaning you Israelites, we're the mouthpiece of the Most High. Then Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belshazzar answered and said, my lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown. And Babylon was a great kingdom. They had everybody under subjection. And thy dominion to the end of the earth, meaning around that area of Babylonia, Assyria. Now, it is crazy because it's really spiritually, it's referring to now also, because this is why this place is called the daughter of Babylon. America's called the daughter of Babylon. They're called the Assyria. They're called Egypt, which is symbolic to a house of bondage, which you Jakes are in bondage here in America. It says here, and whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High Yahweh, which has come upon my lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beast of the field. And that's exactly what happened with these Edomites during the time of the Dark Ages. That's exactly what happened. They were driven from among men. Right? And Job, actually, I'll read Job 30 and 5 again, but in the NOT it says, they are driven from human society. So they were driven from human society because nobody wanted to be around these devils. They were so vile, dirty, filthy that nobody wanted to be around them. This Daniel, let me just finish Daniel 4. Daniel 4. Verse 25, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beast of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High Yahweh ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And there you go. And what? And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nail like bird's claws. So that's exactly what's going to happen with Esau. When we get in the kingdom, Esau is going to go back to that base state. He's going to go back to the bottom. Right now he's at the top. He has the fatness and the control over the whole entire earth. He's at the top. But this devil is going to go down, right? Because they're the base of men. Obadiah spoke about that. Obadiah prophesied against Esau, Edom. He knew exactly how these devils got down, right? So this is a very interesting book. Once again, it's called The Nazis, World War II. Right, on page 132, like I mentioned, they brought this out. One of the high priests or the priests brought this out, or elders brought this out in at 1 West, during the time of 1 West. Right. So let me finish reading. Job, right? Job 30. Job 30, verse 4 again, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and caves of the earth, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. They love going to the mountains. They love skiing. They like to go skiing. These Edomites take trips to go ski, right? They go on the mountains. You see a lot of these, like these National Geographic, like a lot of these, like movies, and also like these shows like National Geographic. They show you how to survive when there's nothing around. They show you how to survive. They show you, and they go through it. They break it down to you. Okay, this is how you survive. All right, if you don't have nothing to eat, this is what you're gonna do. Right? If you don't have nothing to drink, this is where you go. All right? This is how you go fishing. If you don't have no hook, you got to find something. So they're naturally like that, right? This is how you set up a campfire. This is how you start a campfire. And it says this, right? That's why a lot of these Edomites too, they like dwelling in like these high buildings. Like they like dwelling in these high buildings and stuff like that. And you go back into history, I remember during the time of Amaziah, he was throwing Edomites off the mountaintop. Right? He was throwing Edomites off the mountaintop. And it says this, to dwell, these people bugged out. Right? Among the bushes, they brayed. Bray means to make sounds like, it says they sound like animals howling among the bushes. They make some crazy ass sounds, right? Under the nettles, they were gathered together, huddled together beneath the nettles. Nettles, what is a nettle? Like bush, right? Like bushes, like bush, like the bush. Weeds, kind of weed, perhaps chickpea, no. Nettles, weeds, properly a bramble or other thorny weed. Animals do that. Animals go into the weeds and try to, they do that, right? But these Edomites are like that, These Edomites naturally are like that. Right, verse, they prayed. They didn't have no spoken language. They weren't speaking Hebrew. Before they got into the Caucasus Mountains, when you go during the time when they were still dwelling in Mount Seir, they spoke the Paleo Hebrew. Yes, they did. Esau, Edom, he comes from Shem. No doubt about that. They come from Shem, but they're not the chosen seed line. They actually spoke the Paleo Hebrew. They did. They spoke the Paleo-Hebrew, or the original language. Right? They spoke the Paleo-Hebrew, or the original language. But when they were pushed into those mountains, the Most High brought them down to a real low state. And right after, you know, when they came out of the Caucasus Mountains, or when they acquired Judaism, okay, they still ain't speak the, but then they didn't speak the Paleo-Hebrew. They started speaking what they call Yiddish, which is just a mixture of various languages. That's all Yiddish is. And that's another proof that they are not the Israelites. They're not the biblical Israelites. And it says here, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth.
Thank you so much.
Nakah, vile. Ain't giving me the right one here. Viler. Let's go into that Google definition of viler. Foul, nasty, foul, nasty, unpleasant, bad, disagreeable, horrid, horrible, dreadful, abominable, atrocious, offensive, obnoxious, odious, unsavory, off-putting, revolting, distasteful, disgusting, hateful. You get the picture. All right? But Esau, okay, during the time of the Dark Ages, they were pushed into the Caucasus Mountains. Right? So once again, I'm going to say it once again, on page 132, from the book, The Nazis, World War II. Right? And of course, you could get some more information from this book, but I think the point's been proven with that. Shalom.